Today we're going to discuss the Decos D5 sales process workflow. The workflow consists of 4 stages. There's the assessment stage, creation of the statement of work or SOW, the approval of the SOW, and the receipt of the PO or purchase order. In the first stage, the assessment stage, we are going to create a registration in our address component, the name of which is clients. A registration is the capturing of data. In this case, it will be data concerning the potential client that we're assessing. Email addresses, possibly the number, their address, information that pertains to the client themselves. To start this workflow, we have a checkbox called Sales Lead, because we could potentially add a registration in the address component of clients that does not have a workflow associated with it, or we don't want to start the actual workflow. So what we've done is we've placed a checkbox to be able to start this particular workflow. Once we've assessed the client, we've started to actually do some work for them, and we want to do some work for them, and we want to create a statement of work. We will move on to the next stage, which is the creation of the SOW. When we create this SOW, the Decos D5 creates it for us. Once we have completed the first part of, or the first stage of the workflow, which is assessment, it will automatically create a file and save it in the SOW record component. This file is created from a template. It pulls in information from our address component registration that we had actually entered in the assessment phase. So it will pull in the address, possibly numbers, and what other information, the name of the client as well. So that is actually created for you, and it's a start. It does not create the full SOW, but it saves you time in the process. Once that is created, we will move on to the approval of the SOW, and this is working with the client to approve the work that we are going to do for the client itself, and it involves several people from the company, salespeople and technical people as well. So all of those people will be getting a pending item to state that they will be part of the process. After we have approved it, we will move on to the receipt of the PO. This is actually a stage that is handled by accounting. So once the accountant has received a PO, then we can start work for this client, and once we do the work, then the accountant knows that she can send out an invoice and we can end our process. So that is the Decos D5 sales process workflow. Well, let's get started. We're going to start with the first stage in the workflow, which is creating a registration in the client address component. Here I have already saved some information on a company called Microtech. I am going to check the sales lead checkbox, which will actually start the process of this workflow. If I do not check this, a workflow will not be associated with this registration. Next, I'm going to choose the opportunity owner. In this case, I'm going to choose Lee Blackstone, and a pending item will be sent out to Lee because we have checked this checkbox and a workflow has started. Next, I'll choose the business type, and then we'll choose the introduction date. We'll say May 2nd. I've already added some contacts to this previously, so we'll have some contacts already associated with this company. Next, let's look at the pending items. Now, pending items hold all of the notifications that are sent out because of a workflow. When a workflow is started, a pending item will be sent out to the opportunity owner. In this case, it was Lee Blackstone, and it has the company name, the status of the workflow. It has a link to the actual client itself. I'm going to assume that we've already done the work for the assessment, and we're going to complete it and save it. This will take us to the next stage, of our workflow, and you'll see that now that the information has changed, this is in the creation of the SOW. You see also there's the link. Once we move to this stage, there's other pending items sent out to some of the other people in the company. You can see that Perry Caraway also got a pending item. And now this was just FYI to let them know that this process has started and that we're going to need their help to create this SOW, because we're going to pull in a team of salesmen and technical individuals to help write the SOW itself. As you can see also the John Pratt, our Director of Sales, has also received a pending item. Let's go back to our components, and we're going to look at the SOW record component. Our record components hold all of our files. All of our files saved are saved into a record component. In this case, we're going to have a file that has already been created for us. I'm going to put in a description. In this case, I'm just going to place SOW, and maybe longer. I'm going to choose a contact, which I mentioned that we had already saved previously, and I'm also going to link it to the folder that has been created automatically for us as well as part of this workflow, and we'll look at it in a minute. I'm going to save that. Let's open up the SOW that's been created for us. And this has been created from a template, and as I mentioned earlier, it's going to pull that information from the address component that we created, such as the name. Here there's Microtech, which is our company, and you can see it's placed it in the document in the places that the name needs to be, as well as it's pulled in the address for Microtech. So you can see that it's this was just a template that was created previously, and that information was actually inputted into the template itself and saved automatically. None of this was done manually. Next, let's look at the client folder. Now, as I mentioned, this is also created for us automatically. All we have to do is choose the client contact. In this case, it's John Connor. You can see there's Microtech, the company, and you can see that that client ID was also created from the date, the name of the company, and the sequence number. Let's go back to our pending items. We're going to choose Lee again. This is his workflow, and we're going to complete this part of the workflow, the creation of the SOW. We're going to assume that we've finished all the work, and we're going to move on to the next step, which is the approval stage. And you'll see again that all of the people that were part of the actual workflow did get another pending item stating that we have moved on to the next stage and that there's going to be an approval process for this SOW. Next, we will complete this, and we will move on to the receipt of the PO, which is the last stage in our workflow. Now you can see that there are no more active pending items. They've all been completed, and they're placed in the Lee Blackstone's completed folder, so we can keep up with what we've done. But we're going to move to Jennifer Smith, who is the accountant for our company, and she actually receives this PO because she is the one, she's our accountant, and she handles all of the POs. Once she has received it, she will click completed, and that will end our workflow. Now there will still be some of the other individuals will still have their information pending items, just the FYIs for these pending items. People with Perry and John both still have pending items, but we can complete those very quickly just by checking the check box and saying complete this item, and it will actually complete all of the information pending items for everyone, because as I said, they are just informative. Next, we're going to move back to our components, and I want to show you that in the folder that was created for us, the SOW, we can always go back to this folder and we can see that SOW has been saved. So we don't have to go back to each component. We can always just go back to the client folder and find all of the files that are associated with this one single client. And that is the end of the Decos D5 sales process workflow. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the Decos D5 sales process workflow. To recap, we have 4 stages: the assessment stage, the creation of the SOW, the approval of SOW, and the receipt of the PO. In the assessment stage, we created a client registration in our address component. We checked the sales lead box to create our workflow. Pending item was sent out to the opportunity owner. Once that pending item was completed, we moved on to the creation of the SOW. That created a file and saved it in the SOW record, which pulled in the name and address into a template and created the beginning stages of our SOW. Also, a folder was created for our client using the date and the name and the registration number. Also, pending items were sent out to the rest of the staff that were part of the SOW itself. Once this pending item was completed, we moved on to the approval process. Another pending item was sent out to everyone involved. Once that was approved, we moved on to the receipt of the PO, which was sent to our accountant. Once she received the PO, then she was able to complete the workflow, and the sales process workflow was complete. If you'd like to learn more about Decos, please contact BAC at www.bac-atl.com. Thank you.